What's that?
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mayam
Dadati Swam
Dadati
Padantikam
Vandeham Shri
Vandeham Shri
Gurun
Guru Shri Yata Padakamana
Shripadakamalaam Shri Gurum
Igurum
Vaishnavam
Vaishnavanscha Shri
Shri
Rupam
Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam
Tam
Tam Sajivam
Sajivam
Sadvaitam
Sadvaitam
Savadutam
Savadutam
Nasa
Vijayan Saitam Shri Krishna
Chaitam
Chaitanya Devam
Shri Radha
Shri
Krishna
Radha Krishna
Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri
Bhaktam
Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna
Krishna
Karuna Sindhu
Karuna Sindhu Dina
Bandhu
Bandhu Jagatpate
Jagapate
Vesha
Gopesha
Gopika Kanta
Gopakanta
Radha
Radha Kanta
Kanta
Namaste Tapta Kanchana
Takantara
Gaurangi
Gaurange
Radhe
Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari
Vishwari
Vishnu Sute
Vishabhanu Sutadevi Prananami Hari Priye
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Vascha
Kripa
Kripa
Sindhu
Sindhu
Vayevacha
Vacha
Patitanam
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda Shri
Shri
Advaita Gadadha
Advaita
Shri
Shri
Srivasadi
Srivasadi
Gaura
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Now
Krishna
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 Hare
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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for joining in today. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 4, and Chapter 4 is the process of creation. And the text for today, Prabhuji, is text 17. So, Prabhuji, I hand over to you, unless you want us to read the Sanskrit translation and purport.
You can read the Sanskrit, the verse, please.
Okay, thank you. Tapasvino daya Om Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam
Antarotamam
Devim Saraswatim
Devim Sarasati
Vyasam
Vyasam
Tato
Toda
Madhivate
Katiraya
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Shubhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata
Nityam Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Bhavati Vaishitala. Hare Krishna. Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 18. Text 17. Tapasvino dayapara yashashvino manasvino mantra vidhasma
Mangalam Hemana Vedanti
yat
Yadapanam
tasmai
Tasmai Subhadra Shabase Namo Namo.
word to word. Tapasviha,
Yes,
the great learned
great
sages.
sages.
Dana,
Dana Para,
the great performer of
performer
charity.
of charity. Understands
Yasasvha, the great
the
warrior
great
of
worker
distinction.
of distinction.
Manasvina, the
Manasvita,
great
the great
philosophers of
philosophers and
mystery.
mystics. Mantra
Mantravida,
Vida,
the great
the great
chanter of the
chanter of the
Vedic hymns.
Vedic hymns.
Sumangala,
Sumangala,
strict
strict
followers of the
followers of
Vedic
the Vedic
principles.
principles.
Shema,
Shemam,
fruitful
fruitive
result.
resolve. Na,
Na,
never.
never. Vidanti,
Vindanti, attain.
Vina
Vina,
without,
without.
without. Yat
Yadarpanam, dedication.
arpamanam, Dedication.
That's mine.
Tasmai unto him. Subhadra
Subhadra,
auspicious.
auspicious. Travase, hearing about it.
Hearing about him. Nama,
Now
my
Nama,
obeisance.
instances again and again.
Nama, again and again. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of the Vedic principle cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Should I continue with the purport?
Yes, or someone
Or
else would like to read the purport.
would anybody like to read the purport? We are on Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 17. Okay, I can carry on with the purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jija,
Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, the practice of yoga system, expertise in the Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in the attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself. There are two kinds of self interest also, namely personal selfishness and extended selfishness. But there is no qualitative difference between personal and extended selfishness. Theft for personal interest or for the family's interest is of the same quality, namely criminal. A thief pleading not guilty because of committing theft, not for the personal interest but for the interest of society or the country, have never been accused by the established law of any country, have never been excused by the established law of any country. People in general have no knowledge that the self interest of the living being attains perfection only when such an interest coincides with the interest of the Lord. For example, what is the interest of maintaining body and soul together? One earns money for the maintenance of the body, but unless there is God consciousness, unless the body is being properly maintained to realize one's relation with God, all good efforts to maintain body and soul together are similar to the attempts of the animals to maintain body and soul together. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of animals. Similarly, advancement of learning, economic development, philosophical research, study in Vedic literature, or even the execution of pious activities like charity, opening of hospitals, and the distribution of food grains should be done in relation with the Lord. The aim of such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord and not the satisfaction of any other identity, individual or collective. Samsiddhar Hari Tosana. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.27, the same principle is confirmed, where it is said that whatever we may give in charity and whatever we may observe in austerity must be given over to the Lord or to be done on His account only. The expert leaders of godless human society cannot bring about a fruitful result in all their different attempts at educational advancement or economic development unless they are God conscious. And to become God conscious, one has to hear about the all auspicious Lord as he is described in the literature like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, over to you.
Hare Krishna. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to all the assembled devotees. Om Jnanatimurandasya Gyanangana Shalakaya Chakshur Anvaditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're continuing our hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation. Today's text is number 17. So this is continuing the prayers by Shukadeva Goswami before he begins answering the questions asked by Maharaj Pariksit. And in this text, it is the point is that no one can achieve any fruitive result without dedication of their qualities to the service of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada writes, without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself. So the understanding we have of karma in Bhagavad Gita, work is described. Karma means work. There were three categories of work described in Bhagavad Gita. Who remembers one or some of them? There's three types of karma or work.
Prabhuji, it was Sanchit karma, accumulated karma, one of them.
Yes, that's one of them. Others, someone remembers? Three types of work described in, I think, the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
One
There
who
is,
gives, one that gives results immediately, like we eat the food and we feel satisfied.
Akarma, Vikarma, and then Karma.
what was that, Arya Govind?
Akarma, which is opposite to the prescribed duties, and then Karma is as per the prescribed duties, and then Vikarma is just opposite to the prescribed duties.
Yes. So I was thinking of these three types of work: karma, vikarma, and akarma. So as Arya Govinda Prabhu pointed out, karma is the regular religious work, usually with the idea that I will advance, get something. And vikarma is sinful activities, acting in a way which is against the scripture and which brings about future suffering and bondage, and akarma, or transcendental activity that doesn't produce either good or bad result. And what would be the harm of a good result? What do we think? What might be the harm of giving in charity or helping people?
We'll
We
have to
take
come
birth
back
again.
to enjoy it. Sorry, Arya Govind Prabhu, continue.
Okay, no, Mata. Yes, it's the same thing. We have to take back birth again to come back and enjoy the good karma.
Yes, yes. So we are understanding from Krishna that this is Maya. This whole existence is illusion or false, in the sense that it is not our real place. It's not our real home. These bodies that we often think of as ourself, they are not ourself. We belong in the eternal spiritual world with Krishna, as he explains to Arjuna in the 8th chapter and in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that beyond this world is the eternal, unchanging realm, the Sanatana realm. Natad Vashayate Suryo Nashanko Napabaka Yat Gatva Navartante Tadam Panamamama. That the eternal kingdom of God the spiritual realm. It doesn't need any kind of illumination, no street lights. It is self-illumined. And one who returns home, uh, Yadgata Navartante, does not return to this temporary world. So even though it seems, and it is real, we don't say that everything is false 110%, but the proper understanding is that it's temporary. Um, if we happen to, um, everything in this world, it's real, but it's temporary. Uh, this computer or phone that we're using is certainly real, but it's temporary. The different pains and pleasures of this world, they are real, but they're temporary. And they're also false in the sense that they relate to the body and not ourself directly. So what is the use? Just like if we're having a dream, it could be a successful dream. You know, suppose we're dreaming, we graduate from university and we start a career. So that's success. And that's a cause of happiness. But it's a dream that you wake up and you didn't graduate from the university. Or then on the other side, we dream some lion is attacking us and we're screaming and ripping off our arm. But it's not real. Uh, reality is when we wake up. Sometimes people, it's not uncommon. You're listening to a lecture in school or watching something, some video. You become so um, focused on what you're watching or listening, you forget, right? Don't we? We forget that tomorrow I have a dental appointment, and next week I'm traveling someplace, and I need to purchase this thing at the store. We forget all these things, and then we wake up. The lecture is over, the video is over. Oh yes, all these things I have. This is who I am. This is what I have to do. The same thing when people they drink or they take some drugs. Temporarily, we forget, and then we enter a different reality or different reality. But it's not. It's just a different. It's just a different flavor of illusion, and we wake up back to the original consciousness. So the point is being made here that whatever good qualities and expertise and accomplishments that we may have or some other people may have, what's really the use of it? It's all within the realm of this false existence and doesn't relate to our real identity. It's a dream. So we're dreaming of being successful in business or a successful yogi or a successful philosopher or teacher or professor, athlete. And in a uh, it is true in a relative sense. I mean, we there's no need for us to be foaming at the mouth fanatics that someone says, what do you mean? There's no value. Someone is a doctor working in undeveloped countries and uh, providing medical care. There's no value to that. Yeah, there is, but it's a relative value. It's a temporary value. And also, truly, it doesn't touch upon the self, the soul, unless you happen to be a spiritually awakened uh, person who is doing that kind of work. Uh, So even the best of good activities, they're bad. As we were discussing at the very beginning, even good activities keep us bound to this illusion and to suffering. Janma mrityu dara vyadi. So this is appreciated according to our spiritual awareness. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, and it will be upsetting. What do you mean there's no good? How can you say that? What's wrong with you people? So it requires a little brain, as Srila Prabhupada would say. It requires some clear thinking and intelligence to appreciate, even theoretically, that yes, I guess it's right. Even if I do a lot of good things or I become a uh, religious person, charitable, uh, what's the use? I come back to this material world to suffer again, birth, death, old age, and disease. So Srila Prabhupada writes here, everything can be utilized. Well, he says, without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble. Everything can be utilized for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself. There's two kinds of selfishness, personal and extended, but there's no difference. Uh, People in general have no knowledge that the self-interest of a living being attains perfection only when such an interest coincides with the interest of the Lord. So this is uh, I want to say that uh, what does God want? Right? People may say, well, what does God want? What does Krishna want? Krishna wants that we're happy. That's what he wants. Krishna wants the best for us. Krishna wants the best for everyone. The same that we want. We want to be happy. We want to be successful. We don't want to suffer. Krishna wants the same things, uh, which is sometimes good to think about. That God is not Krishna is not uh, some dictator that just for his pleasure he is telling us what to do. Oh, God is telling me what to do. God is controlling my life. Yes, he not controlling in some evil way, but just like a parent wants to control or guide their children for the highest happiness. So this is what does Krishna want? Krishna wants that we don't suffer anymore. That's what which is only possible. And so then Krishna gives his Bhagavad Gita, right? That's the whole Bhagavad Gita. As Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction, we may remember, Srila Prabhupada writes that Arjuna uh, is in a difficult situation, and it's as if he's being chased by the tiger of suffering. And we are all being chased, he says, by the threefold miseries of life. We are all in a difficulty. We are all Arjunas, everyone, uh, being challenged. Uh, but the only way out is just as Krishna teaches, which is to come out of illusion, which is to wake up. Atato Brahma Jigyasu, that now that you have the human form of life, your main business, your career is to wake up. The Vedas, they speak with these words that wake up, stop sleeping on the lap of the witch Maya, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say this, uh, that the purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of the animals. Uh, or let me back up. He says, for example, what is the interest of keeping our body and soul together? One earns money for maintenance of the body, either personal or societal, but unless there is God consciousness, unless the body is being properly maintained to realize one's relation with God, All good efforts to maintain the body and soul together are similar to the attempts of the animals to maintain body and soul together. The purpose of maintaining the human body is different from that of the animals. So human life is meant for waking up, for becoming God conscious, Krishna conscious, for reviving love of Krishna, and going home back to Godhead. This is what Krishna wants. And what is the use of working, of not being aware of it? Just like the animals sleep and they get up and they look for food. So what's the difference? We sleep, we get up, we work for food, we get money, we buy the food. So if that's the only thing that we're thinking about is how to keep the car of this body alive and protected, then we're basically dvipadapashu, two-legged animals. No difference. Not much difference. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that the aim of all such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord, and not the satisfaction of any other identity. The same principle is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where it is said that whatever we give in charity, whatever austerities perform, must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only. So this is the reality of reality. Just like in a house, right? Children, the mother and father, they are our superiors, and the children, hopefully, they are acting, thinking about the pleasure of the parents. That, oh, what does my mother want? What does my father want? What did they tell me I should be doing? Especially younger children, they have no idea what to do except my mother, my father. They're telling me, uh, and um, often the children are have affection that let me voluntarily uh, be of service, give something back, give something back to my parents. So the reality is that we are children of Krishna. We're tiny little specks of Krishna. He is our eternal Father. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam, Savaloka Maheshwaram, Suradam Sarvabhutanam, Yajgatpa Shantam Richati. He is the source of everything and the supreme friend. He is the supreme enjoyer. Just like in a household, the father, father and mother, they are the enjoyers. Things are supposed to go on in a way which pleases the mother and father. Now, the thing is, it is not selfish. We say things should go on in the household so the parents are pleased, but what do the parents want? They want that their children are happy and successful. And so the parents are telling, now you must do your homework. Now you must go to sleep at this time. Now you must be home at this time. Uh, you must do these help around the house in these different ways. And so that it's all for the really for the I mean the parents to get benefit, but it's for the benefit of the children, for their future life. So the same thing with Krishna. Uh, to act for Krishna's pleasure means to put ourselves on the best path of success. Uh, People who do not understand, um, oh, I have to serve God. I have to do what God wants. Yes, God wants you to be happy. And whatever he asks us to do is for that purpose, ultimately. Um, so it is a very auspicious and good thing. But because we are conditioned, our, our minds tend to think, oh, I have to serve God. I don't serve anyone. He's not going to tell me what to do. But actually, it's the best thing for him to tell us what to do. He knows best how we can be fully happy, how we can become free of suffering. So it's a valuable position to be in the service of Krishna, to be thinking what will please him. And it's sometimes helpful to remind ourselves that to act for Krishna's pleasure means to act for our pleasure automatically. It is to our benefit. The more that we think about how to please Krishna, the more happy we'll feel. And our life will become more peaceful and auspicious. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that the expert leaders of a godless human civilization cannot bring about a fruitful result in any of their different attempts unless they are God conscious. In other words, how can anyone do good for someone else if they're stuck in Maya or illusion, if they're not awake? The blind leading the blind. There can be some relative benefit. It's not that leaders necessarily are, stupid or not doing anything good, but it's a relative temporary good, and ultimately it's bad because they're involving themselves and they're involving us in karma, in the cycle of birth and death. So this can sometimes be a little hard to accept. And there's so many people who will not grasp this, but it's true that no matter how good, what good work someone is doing, it's bad. If the result is more bondage to the cycle of birth and death, if it doesn't help people to revive the reality of relationship with Krishna. So it can be both. In a relative way, it's good, and in an absolute way, not good. So something is only absolutely good if it helps the absolute. Just like sometimes devotees may say, "Well, how can I work? How is that good? Shouldn't I be in some holy place and I'm just living uh, in a very simple, renounced way and living in a temple? How is it good that I'm in married life and I'm working?" Because it can be good. Anything that seems to be material is only unhealthy if it's not connected to Krishna. If I'm waking up every morning thinking, "Oh, I'll go to work and I'm going to earn money and I'll keep up my puja and keep up my chanting and help my family to be devotees," then it's completely spiritual work or close to it. It's not material. As Lord Krishna explains in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that things that are connected to him, they attain a spiritual nature, Brahman. So we want to connect with this Para-Brahman. We connect with Krishna, and everything becomes right. Everything becomes properly situated. If we're awake to reality, then we're in reality. And whatever we're doing is reality. So, many people, may think that, well, spirituality means that you're very renounced and you don't have watches and you don't have cars and you can't have these things. This isn't spiritual. They don't understand. They don't what spiritual is at all. Well, no, not completely. Is there any questions or comments or some discussion so far?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
Prabhuji, you said the leaders know what they're doing and they're hopefully doing it for the good of the people. I just want to understand that if they make a wrong decision, how does my karma become bad? Hare Krishna.
What's that?
So, like Prabhuji, you said that the leaders, of course, know what they're doing, but eventually it could be bad, and they're involving us in this karma. So,
Yeah.
how do we get involved in this karma, Prabhuji?
Well, if we follow it's a blind leading the blind. So if a blind person gives us instructions or guidance and we follow it, we're both in darkness. We are to live our life in light according to the directions and instructions of Krishna. Now, they can intersect because while we're doing that, we may be driving on the proper side of the road because that's the instruction of the leaders. But our inner purpose is different, or we may have to pay taxes. Uh, but our inner purpose is different. But they'll definitely intersect. There'll be some crossing of the instructions and leadership of our parents and our teachers and politicians, business people. So if our inner purpose isn't correct, then we will be involved in. Of course, every step brings karmic bondage. And if we are acting for the pleasure of Krishna, acting to follow the instructions of Krishna, then even if we're working in a restaurant that serves meat, we will not be contaminated.
Yeah.
Yeah, or somehow we're working in the government of some, well, most of them are, but you're working directly in the government, getting paid by the government, and the government is doing so many sinful things. So if our inner aim is Krishna, then we will not be contaminated, or much, much less. They may go to hell, but we won't.
Yeah.
It is the purifying effect of connecting with Krishna. Is that all right? Or did you have another angle to this?
Prabhuji, actually, I had one or two angles really. One was like if we had to think of, the Ram Janmabhoomi, Ayodhya, we have recently done the Pran Pratishta in Lord Rama's statue. I mean, could we be involved in any sort of karma in this, even though, of course, it was directly to do for Krishna, so I suppose it is fine. But there used to be some other people who used to pray there, and even though that was the land of Lord, I'm confused about that, Prabhuji. I don't know, am I
Yeah.
muttering
Well, I mean,
or
if the
sense?
government has hurt other devotees, or but we say government, but if whatever specific people decided and made a decision that might have hurt other devotees, and of course they will suffer some reaction for that. And things are usually done for multiple motives.
Yeah,
There's people who dress as a sannyasi and go out and beg,
yeah,
but they don't have or very much of the inner purity and motives of a true sannyasi. And even though someone may open a temple, there may be mixed motives for them. But what we do, that's between us and Krishna. What our motive is, that's between you and me and Krishna. I mean, so we don't so like that. Whatever anyone does, they get the
yeah,
results.
yes,
Now, on the other hand, there is sinful contamination. Like suppose you're living in a family and your father is slaughtering cows. Those sins will affect everyone in the family. And if a leader is of a country who's responsible, that the sinful reactions do filter down to some extent.
Right.
It's true. But then again, whoever is within their own day-by-day life dedicated to Krishna, then they will not be affected nearly as much by any kind of sinful contamination. There is such a thing as we definitely become contaminated by the sinful activities of others if we intimately, closely mix with them,
Is it
for
something
sure.
like so many people went to the war in Mahabharata, so the opposite side was considered to be doing adharma? Is that right? Even though they were not the decision makers.
Well, yes, but not as much as if
Right,
they them could, just like it's described that I forget how many, 6 or 8 persons involved in the slaughter of a cow. They all get sinful reaction, but not equally.
right. Okay.
Yeah, because it depends upon our willful intent, you know,
Yes.
the person who actually uh, directs and initiates the sinful activity, they get a lot of karmic reaction. The person who actually carries it out, uh, suppose some criminals. So you're just the driver in the house of that criminal, and you're not really involved in the criminal activities, but the man has you drive someone else who kills someone. So there's some reaction, but it's not as much as the person who ordered the killing or the one who actually did it. A lot depends upon our willful, conscious intent, right? Just like in court, the degree of guilt and how much someone is punished depends upon their willful, conscious uh, involvement, right? There's voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, first degree murder, second degree. It all depends upon the degree of planning and premeditation, right?
Yes.
It's a lot less reaction if, a snake bites you in the car and you run someone over. You're not going to be penalized very much for that, but there's still some reaction.
Okay,
Does that
Prabhuji.
help?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, in the end, I
Yeah.
will ask another question, but I'll wait for others to ask question now. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So there some other questions, or if you have another one?
Okay,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Sorry.
Yes, Prabhu.
Um, an example can be given like Vibhishana was a brother of Ravana, and then he was in the worst of the conditions, and then he was living in Lanka, and then he was surrounded by demons, and didn't have the best of the conditions to follow bhakti, but he was a devotee of the Lord, and then he continued his devotion, and then Lord Ram and came and blessed him ultimately. So, despite the conditions around us, we can still be as Krishna conscious as possible, and definitely the
Yes,
mercy will come to us. That's what I feel, Prabhu.
yes, as possible. And then in the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna gives 5 or 6 different ways of being devoted, depending on our circumstances.
Yes.
And one thing that may be along the same thought about intent and about sincerity is that Krishna knows our heart. And ultimately, right, uh, it is all about our heartfelt feeling and motive, bhakti, isn't it? Uh, there are people, devotees, who somehow they're in jail. They're not wearing dhotis and saris. They're not having puja with deities. But do you think Krishna does not accept their heartfelt, uh, perhaps a mental devotion, that they're mentally offering flowers and fruits and prayers? Of course, Krishna accepts. Uh, I myself was in a very difficult situation for some time. I could not have any, I could do nothing external for Krishna consciousness, nothing. Not even Indian, not even basmati rice in the house, nothing. And it helped me to appreciate because I was, uh, I have to say to some extent, I was thinking, oh, this, you know, uh, being a show of a devotee. I'm wearing the neck beads. I'm going to the temple at the right time, at the right place. I could see that, I was a little caught up in that, but I was forced somehow. I was drawing on a table in the dust an image of Tulsi, and I would go around when no one was looking. And I know for sure Krishna accepted that because it's also told, right, that one of the 8 forms of bhakti is manasa seva. So intent is the whole thing. And the outward, what they say, substance and form. In academic circles, it's called the difference between substance and form. The form is what it looks like, and then the substance is what it really is. I think I shared before, um, you know, many years ago, I was uh, struck by the vehicle, and then so when I came out of the hospital, I was staying uh, on the second floor of the flat, and all the other devotees were down on the first floor every morning having Mangal Arati. And, the whole experience helped me to appreciate that it's a lot easier sometimes to do the sadhana when we're with other devotees, isn't it? Of course it is. Especially when you're living in the temple, everyone is getting up, everyone is bathing, right? You get carried, right? You get carried to some extent by um, the activities of the other devotees. So it becomes, naturally it becomes challenging then. So there I was. So they were downstairs, and from my experience in the hospital, I could understand it would be good for me to become more not dependent as much, to have my own, uh, to carry on sadhana with or without other people. And so I pushed myself. Krishna gave me this idea that even before Mangal Arati, I would sing the prayers in my mind and I would do puja. And I would make sure that I got up and did the sadhana. And it helped. It really helped and many of us, we don't live in temples, many of us, and we live alone or there aren't devotees around us. And it is challenging. It can be, to do everything. But it certainly helps us to become stronger. And nowadays, uh, something that helped me tremendously, by great fortune, we have the internet. And so different websites and on YouTube, you can find live Mangal Arati. So you can find live japa. So there's so much facility to feel, because many times devotees, right? I wish I had the association of devotees. But we can learn. I think that's the word. I had to learn more how to take the association of devotees in unique ways from a distance, which is the whole thing about serving Krishna in separation. That it becomes more within our heart, and we're able to be spiritually nourished. It is an art to be able to read and feel the company of other devotees, to feel the connection to our spiritual master and mentors, even though we may be far, far away. It's a matter of practice, just practice to feel nourished, just like we eat food, and to be, and also to, what's the word for it? I want to say satisfied, or to be at peace with that. I mean, to not think, oh, I must be at the temple. I must have devotees around me. Otherwise, it's not possible. No, that's not true. That's not, I mean, it's certainly wanted. But when push comes to pull, Krishna is more than capable of uh, lighting up our heart, of making himself present, of helping us to feel the association of devotees. If we want it, Krishna can, sometimes we have seen over the years that sometimes devotees who live away from the temple are more intensely Krishna conscious than the ones who live in the temple, because sometimes with some devotee, because they take it cheaply, or they become what's the word for it? They become familiar. When you're in a difficult situation, you certainly, you know, when you're in a difficult, challenging situation, you really pray, right? We really, oh Krishna, please help me. But sometimes we're in a situation we don't feel that, and so we don't have the same kind of more intense uh, bhakti. So it's kind of a good thing, actually, as Queen Kunti said. I mean, I don't like it all the time, but Queen Kunti says that, my dear Lord, I desire that you always put me in difficult situations, so that I'm always calling out to you, so I can always feel so close to you. And it's not comfortable. Who wants to feel uncomfortable, right? We want to feel relaxed and everything is okay and there's no problems. That's natural. Uh, but I know I have experienced, to some extent, that um, feeling okay with that it's okay to feel in trouble, uh, because it does keep us close. It can keep us closer to Krishna, which is a good thing. And that it's just like an athlete, right? The coach is, you must do this ice skating 6 hours a day, and hurts so much and it's so difficult. But if you appreciate that this is going to bring me a wonderful reward, then it's actually a good thing. It's not actually pain. It's actually pleasure, because so much good is going to come out of it. So the same thing. Better not to be always relaxed and everything is okay. Better some challenge, I think. Well, what's the use of me? Queen Kunti says. Yeah. Any discussion or comments? Someone wants to share some experience about this?
Prabhuji,
It'll
why
save
could
us. What?
Prabhuji, why could Queen Kunti not pray that, Lord Krishna, give me joy, but let me not forget you? Why do
She
we
knows
have to
better.
do?
She knows better. Perhaps some
Sure.
of us, but as I understand it, almost all of us, without some kicking, we stop going forward because we're so many births in this material world. Our mind is very accustomed to just being here.
Yes.
And probably more than we appreciate. And of course, it's not that every moment, every day, every week, everything is troubling, but we want to go back to the spiritual world. And so part of the price tag is there's a price tag for everything. So part of it is Krishna is going to be pinching us.
Yes.
He's going to be lighting a fire under us from time to time. And say, oh, Krishna, what's this? I'm your devotee. I'm chanting. I'm doing everything. Why all this difficulty? Because I want you back in the spiritual world quick. That's why. Maybe sooner than you want to come back. That's why. And it's true. Think about it. I try and remind myself, think about it. The time of death, it's usually somewhat challenging, certainly difficult to peacefully think of Krishna. And if we can spend this life 20, 30, 40 years passing through different situations that force us to hang on to Krishna, then that it's preparing us for the final takeoff. Will be practiced to take our mind away from all of this and just put it on Krishna. Now that's a game. I think that's I remind myself that this is not for nothing. I will be leaving this world. And so all of this really is practice. So oh, now I have a chance to practice. Like an athlete. Oh, this is difficult, but wow, I'm going to be really ready for the Olympics. You see? So it's kind of like uh, mixed happiness. And we are, uh, we have places to go. We have things to do. We have a goal. We have a most magnificent, wonderful goal. And it may seem far off. We don't know how far off it will be, but it could be many, many years. Uh, so it's a great, great adventure. And Krishna is our friend, always planning how to help us. So if there aren't any other anything else, I'll just read a few prayers that I was looking at today. Srila Rupa Goswami, he put together so many books, and so one of them is called Padyavali, which is a collection of prayers and verses about Krishna and about bhakti, and dozens and dozens of them, which just speak about the glories of bhakti yoga. So just pick anywhere. So, Lord Krishna, who is like a sun rising in the darkness, like a boat to the drowning, like a sweet rain cloud to those dying of thirst, like fabulous wealth to the poverty stricken, and like an infallible physician to those afflicted with the most painful disease, has come to grant auspiciousness to us. So, prayer by Previas. I offer my respectful obeisances to the devotees of the Lord simply by hearing the two syllables Krishna. Their bodily hairs stand up in ecstasy, and they become moved to dance in ecstatic happiness. With their sandals, they expertly extricate the fallen souls deeply sunk in the foul mud of the ocean of repeated birth and death. By remembering Lord Hari, the devotees' hearts become overwhelmed with happiness. Their bodily hairs stand erect. Their eyes become filled with tears of joy. O earth, these devotees are the best of people. Please carefully maintain them for as long as the sun and moon shine in the sky. What is the use of your carefully maintaining other burdensome persons who are simply intent on coming and going from the house of Yamaraj? O Lord, your devotee sees the king of rivers as a handful of water, the sun a firefly, Mount Meru a clump of earth, an emperor of the world a servant, a multitude of Chintamani jewels simply pebbles, a valuable Kalpadruma tree a mere stick, the entire world a bunch of straw, and his own body a burden only. So these are reflecting the feelings of the pure devotees of Krishna. This is, as Srila Prabhupada concluded the purport, by hearing about Krishna, by hearing about bhakti, we become awakened and nourished, just like a plant is watered. So we know that we water our creeper of devotion by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam. So valuable. So I'll end here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for an excellent session today. I know we have exhausted our time, but does anybody have a question? If there are no questions,
Can I ask
yes,
something really? I'm
yes,
very
yes.
sorry, but I'm
Go
just a
ahead.
bit depressed, really, Prabhuji. And I feel I've got so many doubts about the war that is going on. I just want to know that if in our heart, in our thoughts, we were hoping for one side to win, which obviously means the other side would be facing suffering or would have faced suffering. Where do we stand in this? How can we take a neutral ground, or how can we protect ourselves from that sinful reaction, or should we just not bother about it, do a back to it? I'm very, I don't know why I'm getting affected with all this, Prabhuji. Hare
Well,
Krishna.
you're a good-hearted person. Who would not be affected or thinking about it? And it's a very good question. Very good question. What comes to my mind is a prayer that we might use in other situations that, my dear Lord Krishna, this is such a miserable situation, so much violence, so much suffering. May you please lead everyone to the right conclusion uh, in the right situation. May you please awaken people to Krishna consciousness. Isn't that one of the best things that we can do for anyone that we want to help, is to pray to Krishna that may they become more Krishna conscious. May you give them good intelligence to make the right decisions, because it's up to them in Krishna. And it's hard to sort out who's right and who's wrong. Look at the Israeli and Arab conflict. It's mixed. Who's at fault, who started it. It's very mixed up and it's complex. So whether Israel should get rid of um, the Palestinians, or whether they should stop, and who, I don't know. We think we know what the best thing is, but for sure, we are offering our heartfelt compassion and goodness and care by offering our prayers to Krishna that you please, if you so desire, uh, lead everyone to you and lead everyone to the best outcome. That's the word. Lead everyone to the best outcome possible. We cannot, the material world will always have wars. There's always going to be trouble. We can't try and make this place Vaikuntha, but we should certainly care. Anyone else have some thoughts about that? we can sit and we can gather together, 2 or 3 of us, or just by ourselves in front of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, in front of Srila Prabhupada, and do bhajan and sing and prayerfully that, oh, so much un-Krishna conscious madness going on. May your holy name please manifest. May people become more interested in taking shelter of you. And it's not nothing. Where our prayers are going up to Krishna. And if many people join together, he may be moved to do something so things improve sooner than if we didn't. What do you think?
Thank you, Prabhuji. You have really helped me. I've written down the lines that you have said. I'm going to pray. And yes, wherever there's going to be a kirtan where I can go to, I will try and go. I think I was also being very fearful that if these terrorists, etc., they win in this thing, will they destroy Krishna consciousness fully? And would that mean
Yes,
that would that mean that Kali Yuga has come, where people feel that who don't believe their religion should be killed and destroyed
yeah,
completely? So that I suppose first it is like in my thoughts, am I wishing the right thing? That doubt was there. Then the
yeah,
fear was that, is that what they meant? Kali Yuga will come where if we don't believe your religion, that is it, that is your end. So I think those fears and everything, it's been going on for many months. And I
yeah,
think, thank you, Prabhuji.
yeah.
I'm just
And
going to
and,
pray
and also
what you
it's
said.
completely there's nothing wrong to also pray to Krishna that please protect us, your devotees, from all those and anyone who would interfere with our devotion to you. And who that is and how that will happen, that's up to Krishna. But it is completely proper, and we should uh, uh, pray like that, both for ourselves and others, that may anyone and everyone who may cause blockage and harm to devotees, may they be stopped. And pray to Lord Nrsimha every day. Oh Lord Nrsimha, please, if you so desire, please. That's also for devotees.
Okay, Prabhuji. I will do that. Thank you, Prabhuji. I can't thank you enough. I just feel better now. My heart was really, really sinking, and I was just
I'm
going
happy to hear
down.
that. Of course, I'm just passing along the good instructions of our acharyas, as we hear them.
Thank you,
Anything else?
Prabhuji. Thank you.
I think there are no more questions. Prabhuji, are you Govind Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Are you able to close today's session, please?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful session on the practical application of Krishna consciousness in day-to-day life. Then how we can be, even though the challenges are around us, surrounding us, and then we can still be Krishna conscious, and then make others also, try to make others also Krishna conscious, and also by way of praying and by way of preaching and by way of acting in Krishna consciousness, we can all do our bit to improve the situation what we have around us. Thank you, Prabhuji. Uh, uh, let's pray Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in glorification of His Grace Dina Sharan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarubhyascha,
कृपासिन्धुभ्यो
Vilsindhubhye
पतितानां
Evacha,
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai.
His Grace
I was just
Dinasharan
looking
Prabhu.
at the profiles. Some
Jai.
devotees, they have the photos of Radha and Krishna. So beautiful. May we all arrive at Shri Radha Krishna's lotus feet as soon as possible. Hare Krishna. This
Hare
life,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna.
this life.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Thank
Not
you,
that I want anyone to
Prabhuji.
depart. I
Hare
meant,
Krishna,
you know,
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Prabhuji.
for the
everyone be
blessings.
well.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.